right, I'm Chris Avina with another episode of the American Outdoor News Podcast. I'm here with Rob Sexton, the Executive Director of Professional Outdoor Media Association. Rob, thank you for taking the time to speak to us today.
Oh, I'm glad to be with you, Chris. Looking forward to our talk.
So, what exactly is Professional Outdoor Media Association?
POMA, as we call it for short, is the trade association for people who practice the profession of journalism in the outdoors across the country. Traditionally, for guys my age, it's the column that you see in the newspaper on Sundays, the outdoor column. It's the guy that's writing that. But in today's media age, the scope has gotten much wider. It's podcasters like what you're doing. It's videographers and photographers, folks who are writing books about the outdoors, and of course, your traditional magazines. So
Uh-huh.
anybody who makes any kind of living uh, telling the stories of the outdoors, we're the trade association that represents them, trying to help them practice their craft better, trying to help them find avenues to tell these stories and resources they can use. We represent them.
So, how does POMA work to connect the outdoor media professionals, the writers, the podcasters, with industry partners?
We've got two basic segments of membership. So there's the we call them voting media. So that's folks like you that practice this craft that we've just been describing. And then we've got corporate partners. So there's a wide range of corporate partners. That could be manufacturers of firearms and ammunition and gear and the like, right?
Yep.
And retailers, of course, but also organizations like convention and visitors bureaus, right, that are always interested in getting people to their parts of the country,
Hmm.
and even state fish and game agencies. All these we lump together in this corporate partner segment. And a great deal of our time is spent trying to figure out how to put the two of them together uh, at shows, SHOT Show probably being the biggest, but at the various shows that happen around the country, at the annual meeting, uh, and and electronically like this, they put them together in a podcast and stuff like that. So those corporate partners need exposure, and our voting media members, they need access to content so they can keep doing what they're doing. So it's a good marriage
Hmm.
when you're able to put them together, and that's what we try to do.
And that's really a vital part of the business. Um, the manufacturers getting the content, uh, getting their word out there. But the media partners also need advertising dollars.
That's right.
So
That, that,
without one, you don't have the other.
that's right. It's a very symbiotic relationship. And, you know, um, I have a little bit of a window into this. So I'm actually the publisher of a magazine it's a niche magazine for an industry, the hunting preserve industry, game birds and the like, right? And we publish 6 times a year. And so you quickly learn, the first six, they're not hard. You got all kind of ideas running out of your ears, right? And then the next six, okay, I got to think a little harder. But you get to the third year and the well runs dry if you don't have resources available to you that are going to give you good ideas to cover.
Sure.
And that's why our voting media people need our corporate partners. And so it really is a give and take relationship.
Well, I could definitely relate to that. American Outdoor News is on our seventh season, and we're always looking for new topics, new content, new
Yeah,
writers, new marketing partners. It's an ongoing evolution of, you can't grow one without the other.
that's right. And then the other side of the organization, we've talked about the relationship between corporate partners and voting media, and the other side of it is the craft itself.
Hmm.
Helping our voting media members become better at what they do. And so we try to provide resources on whatever is the latest tool that people can use who do what you do, Chris. So lately, there's been a lot of concentration on AI, because
Yeah.
the use of AI is becoming prolific. And if you're going to stay in this industry, you're going to have to know how to play in that world. But it dates back, just the way that you shoot pictures, the way that you edit pictures,
Yeah.
things like that. Over the years, it's been our job as an association to also add ways that we can help you do your job better, ways that we can help you do your job quicker, that ultimately keep you making money. And we don't want to make it sound like it's all about money, but let's face it, you can't be a member of professional outdoor media if you're not able to at least monetize some of what you're doing.
Sure. Even if you're doing it part-time,
That's
the
right.
the events, the travel, the hunting trips, fishing trips, it all costs money. Even if you're doing it to fund your trips,
That's right.
it
That's
still
right.
takes time and money. And the way I see it, POMA plays a vital role in promoting the art of storytelling.
Yeah, that's right. And what's the value of that? I mean, for a lot of people, the first time they get exposure, sure, to hunting in general or to shooting in general, but the first time they get exposure to something specific, it's likely come, from someone telling a story.
Yep.
I mean, I can remember watching shows, watching the first pheasant flushes out in South Dakota. You're like, oh my gosh, this would be awesome. I'd love to go do that. And the first time I ever saw a snow goose hunt, was on television. And so without storytellers, the industry itself loses a major marketing tool.
Yeah.
And it's a credible marketing tool because it's third party storytelling. It's not, an outfitter telling his own story. It's a journalist telling his experience story there. And therefore, it has some credibility when, someone trying to decide how they want to spend their hunting dollars makes a decision to go hunt, again, snow geese in this case.
Uh, well, a lot of people um, they don't have the means to travel to hunt, or they go upstate, they go in their backyard, or whatever. They hunt deer or turkey locally. Um, as a kid, I was glued to Field and Stream.
Yeah.
I'd read about other people's adventures and say, hey, that's what I want to do. How do I
Yeah.
get to do that? Well,
Yeah.
you start locally, you grow from there, and the outdoor industry, being a media member and being part of this amazing community, opened a lot of doors for me.
There's no doubt about it. And everybody kind of starts small. Your first hunting opportunities are in the area you can get to for less expense. But even if you're someone who never travels out of your state to hunt or fish, let's face it, we're all looking for an edge to make it a little bit easier, a little more successful, or to eliminate hardships.
Yeah,
So Thermacell comes to mind for me. I remember when Thermacell first came out, and so I'm seeing someone talk in a video about it. You just wouldn't believe this thing just eliminates mosquitoes around you. And we all rushed out like, boom, I'm buying that,
yeah.
and
It
true
creates a
enough.
force field around you.
That's right. And so who tells everybody about that? And we're Chris in most of the country, dove season is about to kick off, right? We're less than a month from September 1.
Yep,
And that's where I first put Thermacell to use because September 1 is basically August, obviously, and so it's still hot. You
yep,
get out there in the mornings when the sun hasn't come up yet, set up some decoys and the like, sit down, and mosquitoes are all around you. And that's a case where someone wrote about a product. I saw some video about the product. Next thing I've got two of them, and everybody I know bought them. So
yeah,
it's not just telling you you could go to Argentina, but also here's some tools and some tricks of the trade to help your hunting opportunities be more successful or more tolerable, even in your own, hunting neighborhood.
yeah. This is my August edition comes out this week, and this is our summer gear guide.
Yeah.
We have write-ups on trail cameras and hunting knives and all kinds of hunting gear that's going to be vital for the coming into the next month or so that you're going to want.
That's right. That's right. And look, I don't know what it is about us, but we always want something that's going to make it a little bit easier, or at least in our head, we feel like we've armed ourselves with the next, trick, right? And I'm thinking, so I can't remember how many years ago that I heard people talking at a sports show about these little knives, to field dress deer with, and the little knives, and they're like surgical steel. And I'm thinking, I don't know about that. My knife is a great big blade, like everybody else has, and and all that bit. And these guys are going on and on and on about, man, you can go through a gut like a hot knife through butter and be out of this thing. And of course, the brand I'm using is Havalon.
Sure.
Holy cow, Chris, game changer, game changer.
It's small, easy to maneuver.
Yeah,
You're in and out, nice and easy.
there's no doubt, and so I mentioned the dove opener. So a friend of mine and I, we always apply every year to go dove hunting. There's some controlled hunts, and so you're guaranteed not to be hunting with 390 people on the same field. And he got drawn. You're allowed to take one person, and that's our deal. So he called me up. Hey, we got drawn for these two areas. The next thing I'm on Amazon making sure that my decoy tree is going to be ready for me and all that. Well, that's the kind of stuff that POMA members are out there showing you. Hey, I went on this dove hunt.
Yep.
I stuck Mojo up on a tree, with some stationary decoys, and we had a great hunt. And let's face it, how do people find out that stuff if not, whether it's a YouTube video or a podcast or, an
Yep.
old school magazine?
And it's funny you say that because our industry is constantly changing now with social media and videos and whatnot. There's so many different things that come into play, and
Yep.
Boma has a lot of continuing ed
Yes.
where you could learn new skills and know how to improve your business and tell a better story, edit a better video. Uh,
Right.
there's a lot of things that you offer that comes with being a part of this great organization.
Yeah, that's right. And you think about, here's a more recent trend, short form video.
Hmm.
Who would have thought 5 years ago that we would all have to learn to tell our story in 60-second videos, right? Because how do you even get to the point within 60 seconds, right?
Yeah,
But when you find out that people, they're sitting on their phone scrolling with their thumb as fast, they're not going to watch a 14-minute instructive video. So you got to learn to tell your story in shorter bursts sometimes.
people's
And that,
attention span is shorter.
yes. And so instead of lamenting it, which it's easy to do, you get old, these kids, get off my lawn. But in the end, if we're going to talk to younger people, and I'm not talking about children, I'm just talking about young adults. If this is where they get their information from, and the product that we want to sell is hunting, fishing, trapping, shooting, the outdoors, then we have to tell it in the media in which these people go get their information. And that's what led us to start doing some coaching on short form video because that's where a lot of people get their information these days.
Sure, sure. Now, we just attended the annual POMA conference
Right.
in right on the shores of Lake Erie.
Yes.
And for people who have never attended, this was so chock full of information and activities. I really enjoyed myself this year.
That's great. I'm really glad to hear it. We had gotten some feedback. I don't, a lot of folks, if you don't plan meetings, you don't know the lead time, right? So, uh, uh, Chris, you're talking about the June meeting, the annual meeting of POMA.
Yep.
Well, a year earlier, it was in South Carolina. And a year earlier than that, coming out of that meeting, so we're talking about the 2023 meeting, we had feedback that we really, that our members wanted more content uh, that comes out of the annual meeting. And so we began to install ideas for more content at the South Carolina meeting, but we were able to really capitalize on people's feedback in time for Ohio. So our goal, we kept, you can attest to this. We had people getting on and off buses to different spots around the north area or the north coast of Lake Erie. We wanted everything that you guys did to have some possibility that was either going to improve your craft or give you some content that you could use to practice your craft.
Yeah, there was a nice conference on a nice seminar on affiliate marketing,
Yep.
which was informative. We had some great days at the range. We had two range days this year, which was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's right. So we had the National Association of Sporting Goods Wholesalers were one of our speakers. And who's that? Well, that's the middleman. That's the distributor network that gets, a lot of sporting goods from manufacturer to retailers. So we had them come and talk to us, and you don't think about this, but they're in the data business and they're constantly analyzing the buying and selling trends that are in our industry. And that helps people in the retail side know, what should I be purchasing more? What do my customers want? And so they've got this entire data program. They call it Scope, of course, right? And Scope is their data program. And they gave us a presentation at POMA about the latest. And when I say latest, I don't mean like over the last 3 years. Like this is hot data on what people want. It was fascinating to listen to.
it's a learning experience, but it's also interactive.
Yeah,
Uh, we had plenty of activities at the local attractions, um, conservation farms, fishing trips, shooting. That was never a dull moment.
yeah. I worried as we were planning it, like, are people going to be mad because they're not getting enough downtime? Uh, but as you said, we had sort of our legacy day, our range day out at historic Camp Perry. Uh, where folks who are interested in throwing lead way down range, they have great facilities there for that. We were able to see the brand newest optics to allow that kind of shooting. We got to see cutting edge technology in the air rifle market, which of course is emerging, and that all stuff that people like you, Chris, you could tell people who are watching or reading the stuff you put out.
Well, I tell you, I know Umarex was at the conference, and it
Yeah,
was great to, try out some of the air guns.
yeah,
Um, I have a pretty large garden here at my house, and my tomatoes are just coming up. It's really nice. I go to pick some of the tomatoes, and half the tomatoes eaten.
yeah,
I'm like, SOB, I can't believe this. So, I try to put a fence around it, chicken wire. I go to pick some tomatoes. Sure enough, half the tomatoes eaten out. I'm like, this SOB keeps beating me to my tomatoes before I get a chance to get to them. So
yeah,
I'm looking out in my yard and I see this big groundhog. I mean, it's the size of a medium-sized raccoon.
yeah.
So what do? I pick up the phone. I call Umarex. I said, I got a problem you need to help me with. And sure enough, they took care of me. I'm going to be writing a nice article about the product that they're sending me, and
Yeah.
uh, that groundhog isn't long for this world.
Well, see, right there, they're getting their bang for their buck just by you telling that story right now.
Yeah, yeah,
That,
exactly.
that's fantastic. Yeah. Oh, we just had a groundhog problem here that lasted about 6 weeks. I wound up catching, I think, four groundhogs and one possum and a raccoon. I mean, I thought I was never going to get rid of the critters, but man, I tell you what, you get in a situation where you can't easily shoot a rifle.
Yeah.
Those air guns are. I don't think everybody's really aware of what air gun technology is like nowadays.
Wow. I mean, they're something else.
Well, and that's another thing that professional outdoor journalists are able to tell us all, right? They show us new product, they're going to test it, you're going to get to see if you think it's useful for you.
Sure.
Um, and I just think that's just like I said, we're all sort of gear geeks when you come to it, and you get a professional to tell you a story about it. I think it's a great connection relationship between the manufacturers and retailers, and then the folks who tell those stories.
100%. 100%. So, what are the main benefits of becoming a POMA member if you're not already a member?
Yeah, well, I think we've been covering them pretty heavily, but here's what it gets down to. This is an association that's going to work every day at trying to either do one or two things for you as media. We're going to try to provide opportunities for you to fill that hole, that content hole that's always got to be filled. It's a recycling thing. Or we're going to try to give you tools that help you do it better or make it easier, make it quicker and more efficient. That's the two values we do. And some of those things are in person. So,
Hmm.
the annual meeting is one, or we have, media trips, either fishing or hunting or shooting opportunities where we try to put a group of people together where they get a chance to practice the activity, but also then tell the stories about it. And then the other part are the things that we offer electronically, virtually, like a podcast or a live stream, where we put people together that can supply either content or know-how. And then the corporate partners, uh, the benefit is you're constantly in front of people who want to tell your story,
Yep.
whether in person or electronically. So, what's the benefit to anybody who's voting media, or rather media? Uh, you're going to find out real quick the toolbox runs dry if you don't have recycling resources of new stuff. And POMA is a great avenue for that. That's what we're trying to be better at, even. So we welcome feedback. Um, Chris, I've mentioned voting media a few times, and a lot of folks might know what that means. So if you don't mind, we probably should talk about that.
Sure. Absolutely.
So, let's face it. There's people out there who they don't want to tell our story. They want to tell a story from maybe the other side's point of view. People who don't like hunting or people who don't like guns. And POMA is a professional environment for people who support hunting and fishing and shooting. It's not an wide open forum for anybody with an opinion. And so the way that we try to make sure that our ranks are full of people who, let's face it, we're in that same niche, is your vote. You have the right to vote as a POMA member, but when you first apply, you're vetted because we don't want someone who's editing PETA's magazine to suddenly be a member of POMA, right?
Yep.
And so once you're accepted, there are two types of media memberships. There's the new guy he's allowed in, but it's a sort of on a probationary basis as he gets on his feet. And then there's voting media, and that's folks like you, Chris. And once the board has approved a member as voting media, then that person gets to vote on board members going forward. And so it's not an automatic that you just get to walk in the door and nobody knows anything about you. You've got to have some credit, a little bit of credibility to get started.
Sure. Sure. And yeah, the POMA is a non-profit organization.
Yes.
All of the board members are volunteer, and they work very hard to provide opportunities, continuing ed, and just putting together the POMA conference alone. That is a huge undertaking. So the people involved in the board and yourself and deserve a lot of credit because
Oh,
it's not easy to put together a 4 or 5 day conference like you do.
Yeah, well, obviously we appreciate that, Chris. We couldn't do it without our board, their volunteers, and other volunteers who are not board members. It's too much for just a couple of people. I think the one thing we also want to say, I made it out like you have to get over a wall in order to be involved with POMA, and I don't want to make it seem too too obtrusive. Uh, we
Got the
welcome,
spotlights on
right?
them.
we we want newcomers. We welcome people who are, hey, I think I might like to practice this craft. I think I might like to be in the outdoor media. And Chris, you mentioned something that a couple of you guys have started mentoring people into this business.
Yeah, we don't have a name for it yet. But myself, Kevin Paulson from Hunting Life, and
Yep,
Marlowe, and a couple other people, we're putting together a mentorship program for people who want to hone their skill. They
yep,
want to learn more how to become an outdoor rider. The truth is, we're not just showing them how to be an outdoor rider, we're showing them how to be a writer.
yeah,
So they could apply the skills that they're learning through us anywhere.
that's right.
They want to be a reporter, they could go to Wall Street Journal. I don't know.
Right, right.
But
Well,
you got to start somewhere. And,
yeah.
I've had a lot of people that have written for me go on to write for bigger publications. And
Oh, okay.
that's gratifying
Well, I
because,
think that really speaks to another value of POMA, right? We're a community. And part of a community, you've got folks who have been doing something for a good while and they're willing to share their experiences and their skill set. It's mentorship,
mhm,
right? And so, what you're doing is mentoring folks coming up in the business. Uh, and you're not going to find that network of people if you don't belong, unless you just happen you're lucky to come on to someone. But I was really struck. My first POMA conference was last year in South Carolina.
that was a
And
great
and
conference.
yes, and I Kevin Paulson you mentioned, we had a couple people there who had been previously introduced to the entire business by Kevin, and so I know that mentorship is something that's really on his mind, and that speaks to the community that we're in. That's another value in addition, to content or honing your skills.
Yeah, 100%. It's and like you just said, it's a networking opportunity.
Yeah.
If you're coming into the industry, it opens a lot of doors. It creates a lot of relationships um, that come easier than just coming into the industry cold and
Right.
trying to knock on doors. It gives you credibility. It gives you, a little bit of a better profile coming
Oh
into the
yeah.
industry.
Well, that's right. And it also helps you understand how to make the relationship stick with corporate partners, for example. So here's something that I thought to be true, and then I got to hear, oh gosh, it's more true than you think. So you go to a conference or you go to a media hunt, and you got manufacturers there or retailers there. What do they want? Well, they want exposure. And so over the last couple of weeks, I've had calls with sponsors of the POMA meeting up on Lake Erie. And my question is, are you satisfied? What can we be doing better to meet your needs?
Hmm.
And the ones that saw coverage from people who were there were just ecstatic. And it's not like they were expecting 35 articles. They literally were saying to me, "Oh, I saw the piece that so and so wrote. I saw the video that so and so posted." So if you're an up and coming journalist, being in this community, you're going to learn like, okay, there's a connection. This is professional,
Yeah.
right? Uh, if you want those folks to keep, providing media hunts, for example, if you want them to keep sponsoring days at the range and stuff like that to help you with your content, then there's the part for them that they want you to tell their story. And that's all about honing your craft if you're going to make any kind of living in this business.
And, the relationships alone are definitely worth it because solid relationships in any industry.
Yes.
They don't come easy. It
No,
takes time to foster a relationship and being intimately involved with brands at a POMA conference or a different event and things of that nature. It really forges a relationship a lot faster.
it does. And, you know, if you go to, a big show like the NRA show or the SHOT Show, you get this idea that the industry is massive. In reality, the industry is pretty small. And the reason I note that is if you get a relationship with someone and you cultivate it over time, 3 or 4 years later, that person's with another brand or they're
Yeah,
with another publication, but it's still the relationship that you forged.
sure.
And so I've been in the business now since 95. And I know people now have been with 3 or 4 different companies or 3 or 4 different publications. And that stuff those are relationships that are fruitful in all ways. They're good friends.
The tentacles grow.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And it's the same in whatever you do. It takes effort to cultivate anything, whether it's tomatoes in your garden outside or professional career in journalism, right? And so growing your network is a big part of what you have to do.
Really is. It really is. But we're running out of time. I definitely appreciate you taking the time to speak to us today. If you're not a POMA member, go to the Professional Outdoor Media Association website.
Yeah,
You can find out a ton of information from the website. And if you're a media member, you could post information on that website for the rest of the industry to see, which is a great
right.
benefit as well. So definitely go to the POMA website. If you're not a member, join. If you are not subscribed to the American Outdoor News podcast, which I don't know why you're not, but hit that subscribe button today.
That's right.
And we'll see you again next week.